Tonight, when the sun goes down, you will feel something shift in your chest. A small tightening. A pull to switch on a light before you even need one. You tell yourself it's nothing. But the real answer is far stranger than nothing. Your fear of the dark is not a quirk of your personality. It is a message. And it was written 2 million years before you were born. Think about the last time you walked into a dark room. Your hand found the light switch before your mind even asked it to. Your eyes widened. Your steps slowed. You scanned the corners without deciding to. That is not fear of the unknown. That is a program running exactly as designed. Here is the strange part. You are not afraid of darkness itself. Darkness is just an absence of light. What you are actually afraid of is what darkness used to hide. And for most of human history, what it hid could kill you. Go back 2 million years. Your ancestors were not the top of the food chain. They were mid-sized, slow, and mostly unarmed. Big cats hunted at night. Hyenas hunted at night. Snakes struck without warning in the dark. If you were a small band of early humans on the African savanna, night was not peaceful. Night was the most dangerous part of your entire day. So evolution did what it always does. It kept the humans who were nervous in the dark, and it let the fearless ones get eaten. Generation after generation, the anxious ones survived just a little more often. Their children inherited that same twitchy alertness. Multiply that across 100,000 generations, and you get something permanent. You get you. This is where the science gets interesting. Evolutionary biologist Daniel Blumstein has spent decades studying vigilance behavior in animals, and one of his core findings applies directly to us. Prey animals do not relax simply because nothing is currently attacking them. They stay alert because the cost of one missed threat is so much higher than the cost of 100 false alarms. A rabbit that ignores 9 false alarms and 1 real predator still dies. A rabbit that jumps at all 10 survives to have babies. Your brain runs the exact same math. That is why 1 creak in a dark hallway can override an entire evening of feeling calm. But there's a twist most people never think about. Fire changed everything. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that the controlled use of fire was one of the most transformative moments in human history, more important in some ways than any tool or weapon. Fire did not just cook food and soften meat for smaller digestive systems, it pushed back the night. For the first time, early humans could see past their own campsite. Predators could be spotted before they got close. Groups could stay awake together, talking, watching, protecting one another. Fire did not remove the fear of the dark. It gave humans a tool to manage it. And that detail matters because it explains something about you right now. You do not simply want darkness to disappear. You want light, company, and a sense that someone is watching the perimeter with you. Ever notice how a dark room feels less frightening the moment another person walks in, even if they say nothing? That is not comfort. That is ancient teamwork. Now here's where it gets personal. This fear does not wait for adulthood. It shows up almost as soon as you can walk. Psychologist Jerome Kagan, who spent much of his career studying the emotional development of children, documented fear of the dark as one of the most common and earliest fears to appear in early childhood, emerging well before children have any real understanding of monsters, crime, or danger as concepts. A 2-year-old does not know what a predator is. A 2-year-old has never seen a nature documentary. And yet, put that same 2-year-old in a dark room alone, and something ancient switches on. Why would a fear this specific, this consistent, and this early exist in a child who has never once been taught to feel it? Because it was never taught. It was inherited. Think about what that means. Every time you have ever felt a flicker of unease walking to your car at night, you were experiencing the exact same circuitry that once kept a small band of humans alive on an open plain with no walls, no locks, and no streetlights. Your nervous system does not know the difference between a modern parking garage and a moonless savanna. It only knows one thing. Darkness once meant something was more likely to be hunting. And here's the part that reframes everything. Your fear was never irrational. It was efficient. A fear that fires occasionally for no reason is annoying. A fear that fails to fire even once when a predator is actually there is fatal. Evolution does not optimize for comfort. It optimizes for survival math, and false alarms are cheap while missed threats are expensive. You are not broken because your heart rate spikes when a hallway light burns out. You are running one of the most successful risk management systems ever built by natural selection. This also explains something else. Notice how fear of the dark almost never fully disappears, no matter how modern or safe your life becomes. You can live in a city with security cameras on every corner, deadbolts on every door, and streetlights lining every block, and still feel that same tightening when the power goes out. Logic tells you nothing has changed, but logic is not what built this fear. Survival did. So what do you do with an ancient alarm system living inside a modern body? You stop treating it as a flaw to fix. You start treating it as evidence of your own lineage. Every uneasy glance into a dark room is proof that your ancestors were paying close enough attention to stay alive long enough to have children. Who had children? Who eventually had you? The fear did not skip a single generation. It could not afford to. Think about your ancestors sitting around a fire at night, backs to the flame, eyes toward the darkness beyond it. They were not being paranoid. They were being effective. And in a strange way, so are you. Every single time you check a lock twice or feel your pulse rise the moment the lights go out unexpectedly. There's one more thing worth noticing. Fear of the dark rarely stays purely physical for long. It becomes stories. It becomes monsters under the bed, shadows that seem to move, houses that feel haunted the moment the sun sets. Humans did not invent monster stories at random. We invented them because our minds needed somewhere to put a fear this old and this deep. A vague, formless dread is unbearable. A monster with a shape, a name, and a weakness is something you can imagine defeating. So across nearly every culture on Earth, independently, humans created night creatures, evil spirits, and things that only come out after dark. Different continents, different languages, same underlying fear, wearing different masks. So the next time the sun goes down and that familiar tightness returns in your chest, notice it without fighting it. You are not weak. You are not overreacting. You are the current living link in a chain of humans who paid close attention to darkness for 2 million years. And because of that attention, they survived long enough to pass this feeling on to you. Tonight, when the sun goes down, you will feel that same small tightening. And now you'll know exactly what it is. Not a flaw in your mind. A message from every ancestor who ever made it through the night.